Nebraska fans, let's sit down and have a truthful and honest conversation. Where did the Huskers go from here? Because this is a very familiar situation to many of us. Another close ranked loss. Looking at the rest of Big Ten play, and it could get out of control quick if we don't fix our multitude of issues. So in today's video, we're going to be very honest. We're going to address all of these problems, how we can fix them in the bye week, what strengths should we play towards, the honest truth around Matt Rhule and this coaching staff. What does success even look like this season? My updated predictions looking at the rest of our schedule and so much more. So really quick, this video is packed and it will be very honest. Hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for daily content, talking Huskers, talking your favorite team? It's nowhere. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to get into. This video will be very candid. We will leave no stone unturned. Where does Nebraska go from here? Because this feels like deja vu to many of us. Very hot start for the Huskers, 3-0, a lot of optimism, a lot of expectations. You roll into Memorial Stadium with a ranked opponent, this time against the Michigan Wolverines, with an opportunity at your hands to finally get national relevancy back, to get some respect back in the program, to finally beat a ranked opponent. And yet again, you put up a good fight and you lose a one-score game. And while a lot of people are saying, oh, we're so close, we're getting there, are we really? Because if you watch that Michigan game, it probably should have been a one-score game. They should have beat us by 2-3 scores. Okay, we were lucky to be in that as close as we were. So how close are we really? And what do we need to solve in the bye week in order to have success this season? What does success even look like? Let's start off with our problems. Because while I believe there's a lot of talent on this team, we have very experienced coaches who are good enough to win 8, 9, 10 games. This entire squad will be defined from here on out on how they respond. When they meet adversity, when they meet L's just like this, how do they attack the next day? How do they play against Michigan State, against Maryland, Minnesota down the road? We'll get into that. How do you respond? Because if you're a team that faces adversity and you crumble the second you see it, you're not a very good team and you don't represent this fan base well and you don't represent this school well. So simply put, we can talk all day about the talent, how good it is, and the coaching staff. It doesn't matter if they can't fight through this. Okay, one loss does not ruin our year. But if they continue to compile, that's exactly what will. So what are the problems that we need to fix in this bye week? Because it's coming at a perfect time. I mean, number one, straight up, this defensive line, you got to do something. And I'm on record of saying I don't think really there's much that we can do because this isn't the NFL. This isn't, free agency. You can't just pick up a guy in the bye week, right, and say, oh, we're going to get a free agent here and there and add him to this team, right? You can't trade for somebody. We have our horses on the D-line and we got to run with them. And they're not very good. There's a lack of talent. There's a clear lack of coaching. You can solve that. You can solve the coaching issue, and we'll talk about that. But when it comes to talent, do you believe in your heart of hearts that Nebraska has enough talent on this D-line? I don't. But I don't know what they need to do during this bye week. You got to find some players to step up on this defensive line. You got to start benching guys, whether it's Elijah Judy, Cameron Lenhart, Keona Davis, guys who haven't contributed anything this year. Put in guys like Cade Petchak who have gave us good snaps. What about Gabe Moore, even a Jalen George? All this hype all offseason about how good he is. Let's see it. Because it's clear these starters, these veterans that the coaching staff feels very highly about, they could be practice demons for all we know. But on game days when it matters the most, they don't show up. So it's incumbent on this coaching staff to figure out the defensive line sooner rather than later. If you don't have a D-line in Big Ten football, we know what's going to happen. You will get ran through and you will not win very many games. Fix the D-line. Fix the offensive line. Now, I'm not a big believer that, we should fire Donovan Raiola, that, the offensive line's cooked, that, we have one of the worst offensive lines in the Big Ten. That's not true. People are overreacting. They're very emotional. Our offensive line is good, not great. Once again, where it's to the point where when you play inferior opponents, like a Northwestern, like, even a Purdue, you will dominate them. But when we play the upper echelons, the Michigans, the Penn States, the USC, we will get dominated. Okay? You got to live with that. But very similar to the D-line, you got to fix your coaching, and you just got to find answers, right? Teddy Prohaska's not the answer. We know that. He's a fifth-year player at this point. We know he's not the answer. Gunnar Gattulla, he's got to rapidly progress. Elijah Pritchett, maybe give him more snaps. He's not playing well, but, you just got to try something, right? If you don't have good offensive line, you're not going to be very successful. Same deal with the D-line. So those are the easy fixes. or not, I shouldn't say the easy problems that we can address, but I mean, what are the other things people aren't talking about? The efficiency on offense has been horrendous. Okay, Dana Holgorsen, all the talk around him completely revolutionizing Nebraska's offense. Sure, it's looked better, but for whatever reason, we are horrific on third downs, fourth downs, and in the red zone. Against Michigan, we were 2 for 13 on third downs. Does that signal to you that we have a play caller who knows what he's doing? Or a team that believes in themselves and can make that clutch play when it matters the most? No, right? Red zone, we are one of the worst in America, not only in scoring points, but scoring touchdowns inside the 20-yard line. We are in the bottom percentile in the Big Ten. We're not even top 100 in that statistic. That's got to change. So the trenches aren't very good. The offensive efficiency isn't very good. The linebackers have struggled so far this year. You got to figure out all of this. But here's the silver lining. I know it's easy to look at all the negative things. It's easy to think that Nebraska, this loss will change everything. We're only going to win 6 games. I mean, there's been a lot of good this season. But I'm not going to be complacent. I'm not going to be like some other content creators or radio hosts or personalities who say, well, Nebraska is good in this aspect, and they're going to be good the rest of the year. No, I see a lot of good, but it needs to continue to improve. I'll start with Dylan Raiola. He's been a good quarterback this year. I've been very impressed with Dylan. But are we going to be complacent with Dylan just being a top 20 quarterback? No. Okay, Dylan has not shown the ability to win the big game in his career so far. And sure, we didn't lose Michigan because of him. He played very well versus the Wolverines. It doesn't matter. He's still got to get that big win. He still has to improve his deep ball accuracy, which was once again struggling versus the Wolverines. He's got to improve his processing, his pocket presence, which was not very good. The ability, he's holding on to the ball way too long, doesn't throw it away, right? So Dylan, yeah, he's good, and we could talk about that, but you also got to talk about him improving. Let's not be complacent here. Okay, the bye week's about not only sharpening your problems, but sharpening your strengths. And people often don't talk about that. Make your strengths better. Okay, Dylan's a strength, but he's not as big of a strength as maybe it could be. Okay, I mean, you go to these other aspects, right? The receiver plays a strength, but has it really been a highlight? No. I mean, I'll go to Dane Key, for example, right? Dane Key, you know, if you take away the Houston Christian game, he's not had a game with over 60 receiving yards. Is that really what you thought you were going to get coming in from Kentucky? I don't think so. Nyziah Hunter, we haven't really seen him make any impact since the first game of the season. Okay, so Jacory Barney's been playing very well, but what about the rest of these guys? What about the depth of receiver? You go to the secondary, right? They're number 1 in America. Keep it up. Continue to get better, right? There's no ceiling, right? Continue to improve. Set records. And even some of these young pieces, like TJ Lateef's playing well, Cortez Mills, Cade Petchak, Guthrie, right? Gabe Moore. All these guys need to improve. So again, we can sit here and discuss all the problems, and we need to address that. But in order for Nebraska to be a really good team, we have some strengths, particularly on this offense, particularly in the secondary, even on special teams, frankly. It needs to get better too. Everything needs to get better. Okay, there are very few strengths on our team, in my opinion, that are good enough for us to win the Big Ten title, potentially make the playoffs. Very few. Maybe the secondary, maybe the wide receiver play. That's about it. I don't think anything else on this team is good enough to make the playoffs right now. Okay, it's good. A lot of things are good. Not a lot of things are great. That needs to change in week 5. I mean, let's look at the future schedule. Let's just talk about it because, again, I get comments every day, every hour from Nebraska fans all over the country who are freaking out. They're saying this Michigan game changed their perception on everything. They believe that Nebraska is only going to win 6 games, 7 games. I mean, what are you looking at? Okay, what about Michigan was surprising to you? Yes, our D-line's an issue. Yes, our offensive line's an issue. Okay, sure, granted, you're not wrong. But did you think otherwise? Were you just naive? Okay, we've known this for months now that was going to be a big issue this year. And I still predicted 9 wins. Why? Because just because your D-line's a liability doesn't mean it ruins your entire season. Yes, this is a very physical Big Ten conference, but look at the teams we play. And again, take into account that our offensive line and D-line are pretty bad. Well, I mean, I think our O-line's actually decent, but yes, let's take into account our D-line's pretty bad. Okay, let's look at our next 4 games. Michigan State, we're going to win because they don't have great trenches either. They can't run the football. They have one of the worst rushing attacks in the Big Ten. We're beating Michigan State. No question about it. They almost lost to Youngstown State. Maryland, cool. They have an electric freshman quarterback. They beat Wisconsin. Do we really think he's going to have a field day against the secondary? Do we really think that Dylan Raiola is going to get slowed down by their pathetic defense? That's a dub. Minnesota, trap game, very physical team. I get it. I understand. Friday night, it's going to be packed in Minneapolis. But do you really believe in your heart of hearts while we have these issues that Nebraska's not more talented? I believe we're so much more talented than Minnesota, to the point where we could get out-coached and out-schemed, we'd still win the ballgame. And then you look at the last game of the stretch, you look at Northwestern, I mean, come on, that's a dub too, right? So, yes, we have issues. Yes, we're not perfect. Sure. But we have 4 very manageable games. So this is why I don't understand people who say, oh, we're winning 6 games, 7 games. We have an easy schedule either way. Now, is there a chance Nebraska drops one of those? Sure there is. But you're still 6-2 at the very worst. And going into USC, UCLA, Penn State, Iowa, that's a tougher stretch, but still. So to all the people freaking out, it's not going to happen because we have a formidable schedule, and I trust this coaching staff, or I should say informidable schedule. I trust this coaching staff enough to adjust to game plan and get those victories. That's what I can believe about Matt Rhule. I don't think Matt Rhule can win the big game. I just don't. I'll be real about that. I think he struggles against top-tier talents, but what I've learned from Matt Rhule is I can trust him in games he should win. So that's why I believe Nebraska will win our next 4. I mean, and just going into what does success look like? At this point, with what we know about this team, what does success even look like this year? Because again, I've seen this narrative everywhere. People are like, well, I'd just be happy with 8 wins this year. 8 wins is progress. 8 wins is a step in the right direction. No. I'll tell you this right now, and you can feel free to disagree with me. 8 wins is unacceptable for Nebraska this season. It's 9 or 10 at the very worst. Because I'm going to hold Matt Rhule to his words. He talks a lot. Some disrespectful comments at times. I'm cool with that. I like my coach being a little feisty. But ever since he's got to Nebraska, he said year 3 is the big jump. And all offseason, in that facility in Lincoln, the chatter amongst all the coaches was, we're making the college football playoff this year. We're making a run for it. When we go down the stretch, we will be in the mix. So I'm not going to sit here and act like 8 wins is a success. What does 8 wins do for our program? Nothing. You think it's going to help recruiting? It's not. These recruits don't give a crap about making they don't care about making a Pop-Tart Bowl. They want to make the playoffs. That's just the honest truth. I told you we're going to be honest. So this Michigan loss doesn't change anything. 9 wins is a success. Anything below that is unacceptable because that's not the big jump we talked about. Going from 7 wins to 8 wins is not a big jump. It's just not. It's got to be 9. And I think it's going to happen because our schedule is very easy going forward, objectively. And I'll just give you my prediction for the rest of the year. I'm 4-0 right now on my predictions. I told you guys off-season we were going to lose to Michigan. I told you the week before the game we were going to lose to Michigan, and we lost to Michigan by 3 points. My exact prediction. Okay. I think Nebraska wins our next 4 fairly easily. We might struggle a little bit versus Minnesota. It'll be a close ball game perhaps, but we'll come alive. And that's going to give us fuel to win closer games down the line. I believe that we will potentially beat USC. We will definitely beat UCLA. I'll probably change that prediction from what I had in the offseason. We'll probably lose to Penn State. Granted, Penn State's a good team. And then we'll go into Iowa potentially with only 2 losses and see what we can do, right? Granted, I think that Iowa game's probably looking more so like a loss. And yes, you can say whatever you want about Iowa. Iowa's not been great this year. I get it. But Iowa has a tough running attack and a tough O-line. I don't believe we can stop that. But still, I think 9 wins is still very possible. Addressing all our problems, all that considered, we can still get it done. But it's incumbent that this coaching staff makes adjustments so we continue to believe that these players continue to get better. We're not complacent. Like, too many people are complacent. They think, oh, Dylan's good, but he can't get any better. Well, he got to get better. He got to get a lot better. Same deal with Emmett. Same deal with Jacory. Everybody's got to get better. If you're complacent about one player, you will lose. So my overall message is, don't freak out. We still have a lot to be hopeful about. It's going to be a very fun 4 weeks. It should be. And we should be hot. We should be potentially 7-1 going to USC. The biggest game should be of our season against the Trojans. That's the expectation. But I'll tell you this right now. It's a caveat. Nebraska should win these next 4, but if you drop any one of them, I'm talking any one of them, Minnesota, Northwestern, dare I even say Michigan State, if you drop any one of them, we got to have some tough conversation about this coaching staff and the future of them here in Lincoln. Because at some point, you know with the coach if they got it or they don't got it. You knew pretty early on with Scott Frost if he had it or he didn't, right? He didn't have it. You knew pretty early on Kirk Cinetti that he got it over there at Indiana. We're at that point with Matt Rhule where if you continue to lose and you choke away as the season progresses, Matt Rhule has a bad tendency to lose, going into November, going to October. We will know pretty quickly how good of a coach he is. And I don't want to have that conversation with you, but we will. We'll be honest here. But I don't think that'll happen. I do believe we'll go 4-0, and then we'll have a different conversation going into USC. So let me know your thoughts down below about everything. What's your optimism about this team? What do you want to see in the bye week? I absolutely want to hear your thoughts down below. Comment them. Hey, if you made this far, hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go be great, go Met Roll, and I'll see you in the next one.